So basically, where we are standing here. Let's go. Let's look towards west. Okay. On the western side, okay, we see the mountain range. We see the mountain range of the Judean hills. Okay. I understand that you've already had a whole session about the different geographical areas of the land of Israel. So we can already understand that we have the main mountain range, okay, the hillside of Judea and Samaria. Okay, here's Jerusalem, and we can clearly see that green area of mountain, chains of mountain, which goes all the way up from the northern side, from Nablus, which is Shechem, okay, from the area of Nablus, all the way down to where? Hebron, or the southern part of the mountain of Hebron. Okay, this is the main mountain range of Israel, and we can clearly see it on to the west. You know, towards when we look towards the west, because we're standing somewhere over here. Can you see this opening? Can you see this opening? We're standing over here. If we're going to put the map on, let's say, according to the different location, different let's say directions. Okay, so we've got Judea and Samaria. We've got over here. See that yellow spot? That's the Judean desert. Okay, so we can see that the Judean desert goes all the way from Jerusalem down south, alongside near to the area of the Judean hills, a little bit up north into the Judean of Samaria. Okay, into Samaria, but we can also clearly see that the Judean desert is a little bit lower than the Judean hills. Okay, so what we see on our western side, we see the whole mountain range of Judea and Samaria. On the top, we can clearly see Jerusalem. How can we identify Jerusalem from that point?
Mount of Olives.
What? The three towers. Can you see the three towers of Jerusalem?
Augusta Victoria.
Russian candle.
And Hebrew University.
The Augusta
Okay.
Victoria.
Okay.
And the Hebrew University.
Does the Mount
Okay.
Scopus count?
Okay, the right one, or the northern tower,
And the Russian tower.
is the Hebrew University
Yeah.
of Jerusalem. Okay. The middle one
Augusta Victoria.
is Augusta Victoria. Okay.
The third
German church that was built in the beginning of the 20th century. Okay. And the left one looks like a candle, pointy building, is the Church of Ascension, the Pravoslav Russian Church of Ascension. So you have this marking of three towers towards Ascension, towards west, okay, which we can see it from every corner of the Judean desert. We can clearly see it from every corner of the desert. This is a marking point, which is a very important one, because when you're going to visit with your tourists in different areas around Jerusalem, it doesn't matter which side, okay? We can also stand in Nebi Samuel. Have you been to Nebi Samuel yet?
Yes.
Okay, we can stand in Nebi Samuel and we can identify the three towers of which mountain? Mount is it?
Hadar.
On the top of what mountain?
Mount of Olives.
Mount of Olives. Okay, Mount Scopius is the same mountain range it's the same topographical mountain range of Mount of Olives. Okay, so the northern part of Mount of Olives is the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and then the Faculty for Law School, okay, which was founded in 1925. Then afterwards, I repeat myself, Augusta Victoria. And then the left one, we can see a white tower, pointy tower. It's the Church of Ascension, the place where, according to the tradition, the Christian tradition, this is where Jesus went up to the heavens from. Okay, the point of ascension. So we can clearly see, as we stand here in this small gap, we can see that there is a small gap here, and this is the exact place where we're standing. It's a geological gap. איך אתה אומר קר? אני מבקשת את השאלות האלה. סינקלין, לא, אבל אני מדברת על קר, לא סינקלינה בהכרח. יש הבדל, okay? The Sincline of Wadi al-Kelt, that's the same one, okay? And we're heading and we're looking towards west, towards Jerusalem. So we can clearly see the Mount of Olives. On the right to the area of where the Hebrew University is, we see a place which is very, very crowded, inhabited crowdedly, with a lot of neighborhoods and a lot of buildings. This is the northern part of Jerusalem, the area of already Aram, Chizme, towards Chizme, yes, Shuafat, Aram, Chizme, and then and a little bit up north, the area of which goes towards Ramallah. Okay, so we can clearly see that the top of the mountain range of the Judean and Samarian hill is very, very crowded and full with population. Also towards down south, okay, from Mount of Olives, we see very populated, very crowded areas which are built intensively in that area, all the way down to which city? The city of Bethlehem. Okay. Yes, Elazariah is from the east. I'm talking about to the west, to the southern part of Jerusalem. Southern part of Jerusalem we see here. Okay. Bethlehem, a little bit further south
How do you
is
say
Hebron.
Bethany,
Okay? So,
Bethany.
so in a way we can say that the whole area of the top of the mountain range is fully populated. Okay? And as we go down towards east, we're going down towards the area of the Judean desert. So we are located at the moment in an area which is called the borderline of the desert. What does it mean, the borderline of the desert? There is an area where the amount of rain, that goes down, yes, that drops each winter time, yes, is the borderline between what we identify as a desert and a non-desert area. Do you know what line it is? What is the amount of water?
Millimeters.
The amount of water?
200 millimeter.
200 millimeters. So we have what is called the line of 200 millimeters. The line of 200 millimeters, we can see it around that line between the yellow and the green area.
It's not the
Yes, it's roughly, but the 200 millimeters line is a little bit further up to the west, is where a little bit after Azaim, we are in the area of the borderline of 200 millimeters. What does it mean practically? If we're going to stand here during the winter time, we're going to see the hills around us, a little bit further behind us towards west, are covered with this green grass. And the hills which are going to be a little bit towards east from us, you can look behind you, look behind you. We can see all these area of the Judean desert. This is already an empty desert. What do we find in the borderline of the desert? Okay, what do we find?
The green and the yellow.
Okay, so we still have villages. We still have people living in it. Okay,
Nomadic people.
very good nomadic culture. Throughout the history of the Judean desert, around that line, specific line, there used to be some kind of a nomadic culture that used to be here, okay? Up until today, basically. Okay? And what do nomads do? The nomadic culture is, what does it mean? What do people do? They don't, in some areas they are able to cultivate the land a little bit. And the more they go towards west, they can cultivate the land. The more they go towards east, yes, they grow sheep, okay? They are shepherds, okay? Not farmers, shepherds, okay? It's a different kind of culture. And during the winter time, they will go further east with their sheep, they will just go down east. And with the summer, when summer comes over, yes, they will continue towards west. Okay, a little bit to the higher areas where it's much more convenient to spend the summertime. Okay, so we are able still to see a very, very ancient nomadic culture that used to be all around that line. by the way, we're standing here, yes, near to Jerusalem. If we go further a little bit south towards Bethlehem, the borderline between Bethlehem and the Judean desert is it's called the land of shepherds, who was a very, very important, famous shepherd who lived in the outskirts of Bethlehem, right on the border with the Judean desert.
Amos.
Who?
Amos. Prophet Amos.
Okay. Okay, there were a lot of prophets in that area. But King David, okay? The shepherd, the most important shepherd is King David. And King David and his brothers and also his cousins are considered to be heroes. Why heroes? Because the nomadic culture had to be a very, very heroic kind of culture, because they had to deal with the desert. And the desert is a tough area to deal with, okay? You have to deal with the climate. You have to deal with the animals, the wild animals that were here, okay? Especially in ancient times, not like today. Maybe you had to deal with, just violent people that go all around, because this is an empty area, has no security. So King David, his brothers, his cousins are considered to be in the holy book, are considered to be heroes, tough guys. Okay, so of course the symbolism around being a shepherd is also very important for the story of King David. Okay, so this is what we see. Another thing that we can see from that point, and I want you to look carefully. So we see the whole mountain range of the Judean hills, and a little bit up north the Samaritan hills. Okay, we can clearly see the topographic fall from about 850 meters above sea level, okay, and all the way down to the rift, to the Syrian-African rift, to the valley, which we can clearly see it behind us. To what height is it?
Minus 400.
37.
430-ish, okay? So we can clearly see that it's a very, very deep fall in a small area. So if we take the car and go down from Jerusalem down the hill towards Tzomet Almog, to the junction of Almog, to the area of the Dead Sea, yes, we can just drive. We don't have to put any high speed, right? Because the car is going to go all the way down very, very easily. One area, and you can clearly see road number 1, which goes all the way from Jerusalem. By the way, the path of road number 1 goes on the ancient paths that led connected between Jerusalem and the ancient town of Jericho, okay, and later on also towards the Jordan River, okay. Later on, I'm talking about Jericho is very, very ancient, about 10,000 minus 10,000, okay, Neolithic period, and later on some traditions around the area of baptism site and the Jordan River has developed and became and made this road one of the most important roads for pilgrims that came and searched the land. So we're going to speak about it later. But what we can see here is road number 1, and specifically where we're standing right below us, you can clearly see that if you drive your car, you'll have to put a speed up, right? Yes. Because there is a small uphill going up over here. It's a part, yes, of a little bit of a hilly side around that area of the Judean desert, okay? If we look towards south from us, it goes a little bit higher, but it's still a part of the heights, the flat heights of the Judean desert, and specifically around that point, right below the Museum of the Good Samaritan, you can see that the path goes and become narrow and narrow and narrow. Okay, that is what we call by the way, in army military language, we call it a necessary path. Okay, because if you go around road number 1, or if you walk in the Pilgrim's Road here, in that specific point, which is very, very narrow, you have to pass. Okay, and this area is controlled by those who are located where? On the hilltop. Okay, So this is by the way why we have presence of human people throughout the whole of the history of this path, specifically in that point. We have excavations that goes all the way from First Temple times around that area, and excavations from Second Temple times. There used to be here a Herodian palace, not here specifically, a little bit further down, near to the Good Samaritan Museum, but on the other side of the road, okay? And into the Roman and Byzantine era, okay, there was always here a place of road, in the middle of the road, like a hotel in the middle of the road. We call it Khan. Have you heard about what is Khan? Okay, Khan. And it's called Khan al-Ahmar. Khan al-Ahmar, the Red Khan, okay? Or the Red Hotel, okay? And this is, by the way, behind us, this is the historical Khan al-Ahmar, okay? Located on a Byzantine era, and later on was also established here. Yes, it's the exact place of the museum used to be a historical Khan. This is why it's called the Good Samaritan Museum, but also the hostel of the Good Samaritan. We don't have a hostel over here, but we have a Khan, okay? A place which is in the middle of the road, located specifically on that point throughout the history. And we have also phases from the Mameluke and the Ottoman period, okay? Even during the British Mandate. And specifically where we are standing is a place called Castel Rouge. Castel Rouge is supposed to be in French. Castel Rouge, and these are the Crusaders who came over here in the 12th century. Crusaders, they had a very, very importance to roads, yes, and they had a strategic conception towards certain areas, especially a road like that, which is important for pilgrims on the way to the baptism site, and they had to control the road. And the Crusaders controlled the highest point in the area, especially above the what is called necessary path, a place where everybody has to go through, and they had to control it in order to secure the point. So what do we see in front of behind us? These are the remains of a Crusaders fortress, okay, from the 12th century, which is called Castel Rouge. And we can also see that it's called Khan al-Ahmar, the Red Khan. Castel Rouge is
The Red Castle.
the Red Castle, okay,
Sorry.
in French. In Hebrew, this road is called Ma'aleh Adumim, the ascension of the red ones. And also in Arabic, another name for that path is called Talat Ad-Dam, okay, the passage of the blood, okay. Why does it called like that in all different names? Why does it called
Red.
red?
Do you think because of
Why is it red? What's the connection to red?
because of the massacre?
Okay, so first of all, some say that because of this road wasn't safe along the history, and a lot of blood was spilled over here, so it was called the Red Path. But another reason for that is because it's a little bit hard to look at it from over here, but you can see that right below the brown rooftops of the Good Samaritan, okay, right below it, we can see that some of the rock that exposed here is a bit reddish, okay? And we can clearly see from the other side of the road, and we'll be able to see it later on, some red spots, okay? So this is a geological phenomenon where the rocks over here had been going through some kind of a metamorphosis, and they were exposed to oxygen and iron. There's a very, very high percentage of iron in the soil, and with oxygen it became a little bit reddish. Okay, so I'm not going to go into it. אורן, תצורת חתרורים, דיברתם על תצורות כאלה? Okay, so I'm not going to go into it, but there is some kind of rocks. These kind of rocks are have been created over here. Okay, so Talat Ad-Dam, Castel Rouge, Ma'aleh Adumim, and another thing that I want you to see as we're gonna look towards west, okay? So we can clearly see the Judean hills, but we can see also a whole finger of hills that goes all the way from west towards east. This is the direction. That the top of these hill chains, the chain of hills over here, is colored green. Okay, the green areas. These are few different settlements which are located in what is called the block of Adumim, the red block. And you can understand why it's called the red block. Okay, it's called Kfar Adumim, village of Adumim. Okay, Nofei Prat, another settlement near to Kfar Adumim, and another hill that there is also the an educational center for pre-army center right on the top of this hill chain. Okay, and it goes all the way down to, you see that that settlement that is on your right hand side, it's also green spot, which is called Alon. So this whole finger that goes all the way from east towards, so from west towards east, yes, in one mountain range, or let's say hill range, yes, is called the block of Adumim, and all the way down to the settlement of Alon. Okay, so it's all a part of different settlements that were established here during the 70s, and these are settlements with mixed population between of Jews, which are, some of them are secular, some of them are religious, and it's a very interesting kind of lifestyle of mixed population that they are living here. You see that settlement of Alon on the right hand side. On to the left you can see a road. Okay, you can see the road on the left to settlement Alon.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a road over here, and also the road right in front of us. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, the right, you see the the green spot, right?
Yeah.
And right to the left of the green spot, in a small valley, you see a road.
Yes.
Okay? And this road goes all the way down also in front of us. You can clearly see it right in front of us. Can you see it? This is road. This is what is called Road Alon. Okay? And this was an initiative of establishing certain settlements around that line of the Judean desert from southern area towards north. Okay, and it's located exactly on the line of the borderline between the regular land and between the desert. Okay, and this was a part of a strategic thinking that was made by Yigal Alon, which used to be the head chief of staff after 1967, and he said the following thing. He said, we want to secure the Jordan Valley, and we want the Jordan Valley to stay under Israeli hands in the future. What does it mean? It means that if the whole hillside of Samaria, yes, is crowded, it's heavily populated with Palestinian population, okay, see, this is the area. Exactly, it's not only Nablus, it's called the northern part of Jerusalem, Ramallah, okay, Tulkarem, Nablus. The whole area is heavily populated in Palestinian population, with Palestinian population. It means that between the Jordan Valley and this area which is heavily populated, there is nothing over here. And he basically says, if we're going to establish settlements around that point of borderline between Samaria and the Judean desert, not really Judean desert, it's already the Samaritan desert, okay? So we can secure the fact that the Jordan Valley is going to stay under Israeli hands in the future. Okay, it's a part of a strategic thinking that was developed after 1967. And there were a few different settlements that were established around that line, okay, simultaneously to the area of, right in between the area of the top of the mountain and to the area of the Jordan Valley, okay? And the first one of them was this settlement of Alon. And the road itself called Road Alon, and it's named after Yigal Alon, who basically came up with this idea, strategic idea in the early 70s after 1967. Okay, so the plan of Alon specifically was not accepted by the Israeli government eventually, but what it did create is some facts on ground. What does it mean? It means that there is the road Alon, which starts over here in the junction of Kfar Adumim, all the way up to the north to the junction of Mechola, okay, and some settlements which have been established over here along the road of Alon. What does it mean? It means that in this area there are few Israeli Jewish settlements which secure the fact that the Jordan Valley is going to stay under Israeli hands, even if in the future the hillside of Samaria is going to be given to the Palestinians. Okay, I'm not talking now political stuff. Okay, I'm just talking different thoughts and strategic thoughts that were developed along the time over here. But we cannot ignore the fact that this is an occupied territory. Okay, we can say in the geopolitical language, you can call it occupied territory, or you can also call it a land that was freed. Okay, so people, different narratives and different languages will be used for different things like that. I'm talking that it was a land that practically was occupied by the IDF. Yes. During the Six-Day War, 1967. I'm not making any political statement over that, and we cannot ignore the fact that we are in an area which is under dispute. Okay, I don't know what will be in the future, but it means that it doesn't have a status of an area that is a part of the land of the state of Israel. This is a land which is under dispute because it was conquered in 1967. This is what we call the West Bank / Judea and Samaria, okay, which about 60% of these areas are areas C. Do you know what's the difference between A, B, and C? Okay, A is pure Palestinian Authority areas, just like Jericho, Ramallah, Nablus, for an example, okay? On the other hand, we have areas C, which are controlled by the IDF, the Israeli military, okay? And this is the majority of the West Bank / Judea and Samaria. And these areas have Palestinian population in it, but the main sovereign in these areas, who is?
The IDF.
Very good. Why not the state of Israel? It's under a dispute. Okay, it's a territory which its future is not known yet, and the IDF is the official sovereign for that point, for that area. Okay, so the head commander of Pikud Merkaz, Central Command, is the main commander of that point. Okay, and we have areas. It's about 60% are area C, 18% are area A, and 22% are area which is mutual management between the IDF. Okay, let's say the civilian center of the IDF, which is called the Minhal HaEzrachi, and the Palestinian Authority together. Okay, what does it mean? It means that the Palestinian Authority takes care of Palestinians who live in that area. Okay, and the IDF is the sovereign of that place and takes care of the Jewish Israeli citizens in that area. Okay, your tourists are going to ask you about it. Okay, some of them will know a lot about the divisions of the territories that was made after the Oslo Accord. It was decided in 1994, 1995 during the Oslo Accords between the Israel state, the state of Israel, and the PLO, okay, which have established the Palestinian Authority. Some of them will know a lot about it, some of them will know a little bit about it, and you'll have to explain them as you go on in these areas, okay, because it's a part of